It's me again, back with another mat class. No equipment really, just because I don't really know who has got what, so it's always nice to do a class without equipment so everybody can participate. The one thing I might use is a low stool. I'm going to use a box which is sort of so high, so a low stool, maybe a low chair, something along those lines, but again it's optional, it's at the very end, you don't need to do it. So, modifications throughout, progressions throughout. Please just take it to a level that suits you. Okay? So without further ado, we're going to start standing. So we're going to do a standing roll down. Now again, this might not be for some of you. I'm thinking about some people in particular who maybe have to be that little bit more protective over their low back, that have maybe had a little bit of disc trauma historically. So if that's you, come straight down into 4-point kneeling and just start to go into a little cat stretch. Inhale to prepare into the back and the base of the lungs, and just bring the chin a little towards the chest and start to round forwards. Let your arms feel heavy. Now I'm trying to let the stomach support the back. I'm not overly gripping, and I'm very definitely allowing my hands to be well in front of my feet. Inhale at the bottom, and as you exhale, an evenness left to right on your feet. Slowly restack, low back, middle back, upper back, eyes. You can lift those arms up. And again, length at the back of the neck, just articulating through the spine. Maybe this is as far as you go, maybe you bend your knees. I really don't mind. Big inhale, and exhale, slowly restack, low back, middle back, upper back, eyes. Now we're going to bring the arms up, and I'm going to take a little rotation, taking my arms out to the side and all the way back up. So I'm rotating around and then rotating to the other side. I've noted that I've taken my left arm forwards first and all the way back, bringing my arms down, a little bit of length at the back of the neck, rounding forwards. Keep breathing throughout. Big inhale, and as you exhale, restack. Imagine a plumb line, a weight on your tail. Tail is long and lengthened. Now this time, arms come all the way up. And I'm going to take my right forward, so there's a rotation of the spine and a rotation the other way. So we rotate and up, lift. Don't be fussy, just allow yourself to move. Again, up, around, all the way back, up and around. Arms come all the way down. One last time, little bit of length at the back of the neck, and we round forwards to pause. Now I want you to take your hands a little forwards, or your feet a little back, or maybe a little mix of the two, so that we can come into our upside down V, and you can begin to feel a stretch down the back of the calf, down the Achilles. Just make sure that you are comfortable. So I'm spiking the seat bones, pushing the heels down. A little warm up for the legs. So we're going to release one heel, and then I'm going to switch the feet, articulating through the feet. Lift the heel and switch. Lift and switch. Trying to keep the elbows soft throughout. Lift and switch. Lift and switch. Now look at your ankle, knee and hip socket. Are they all in alignment? Push down. And every time I push down on that heel, I'm thinking about the length between heel and seat bone on this stretching side. One more each side. Down and push down. Push them both down. Spike those seat bones. Bend your knees and come straight into a little box position. A hand underneath each of your shoulders and a knee underneath each of your hip sockets. Tail is beautifully long and lengthened, and I'm just going to curl the tail underneath me. Really thinking about length rather than a full tuck, and then coming straight into that lovely cat stretch. Now pushing the head and tail away from you. You know that we're focusing more on the upper back here. And again, pass through neutral, curl the tail, think length in that tail rather than just tucking it. Really feel that stretch. And then pushing your head and tail away from each other. Really feel that lovely, lovely stretch. And then slowly from there, I'm going to bring one knee through. Maybe that's not possible for you, but you just do your very best until you're sitting facing forwards on the mat, like so. So a little bit of flexion for your spine. You can begin with hands on knees if you wish, or you can have your hands underneath your knees. I really don't mind. Try very hard to have flat feet. And you're going to have your ankles, knees and hip sockets in alignment. My elbows are wide, but my shoulders are soft. Now I'm going to draw that same length, not so much of a tuck, but length into the tail, and I'm bringing myself into a nice flexion. So exactly as we did in that cat stretch, try and replicate that here. Back onto your seat bones, restack low back, middle back, upper back, eyes. Keep the flow. As we draw length into the tail, remember the belly button, bottom ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs. Watch you're not tucking the chin too much to the chest like so, and back up, all the way back up. So this may be where you stay. This may be enough for you. Providing yourself with support, you might end up taking your hands a little further down those thighs if you want to progress it that way. But if you can, both arms are in front, sitting super tall. So feel those seat bones. And again, that same lengthening of your tail, bringing it down just to a point that you feel is doable for you. And then back onto those seat bones, and I want you to lift your arms up. I'm going to do that same opening out to the side. Then we'll lift all the way up and out to the other side. I'm keeping my thumbs up. Lift and bring it forwards and lengthen through that low back. Feel the bottom ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs. I'm going to about my waistband and all the way back up again. Lifting those arms, I'm going to go towards the camera this time, out to the side. It's a middle back rotation. And then we go to the other side. You sit up as best you can. And again, we're going to bring it back. We're doing 3 of these, just as far as you can manage. Maybe you go to a little bit deeper into the waistband. If you need your hands underneath, please use them. Be careful you're not tucking the chin to the chest. All the way back up. And again, rotate to the side, arms out, and lift them all the way up. Rotate to the side, really get that back arm to pull back, lifting, lifting, lifting. And on this next one, maybe you go all the way down to the floor. If you don't want to hold, if you've got disc issues or low back discomfort or tenderness, maybe you're not going to hold this here. So maybe just come all the way to the floor, take a little rest, or keep doing as we were before. Holding, holding, holding. We're going to come down a tiny little bit further. Now I'm still trying to maintain my form. I'm going to come down a little tiny bit further still. Holding and breathing. And then I'm going to come back up a little tiny bit. Keep remembering that bottom rib, middle rib, upper rib, breastbone pulls back, up a tiny little bit more. And all the way back up, back up, back up. Last one, we're going to start to bring it all the way down, 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 down. Pause at a point that you can hold it at. And this time, rather than taking the arms overhead, we'll take them out to the side. Holding and breathing. Keep squeezing an imaginary small tennis ball in between your knees. Arms come back. Can you do one more? If you can't, it doesn't matter. All the way back, and then slowly from there you're going to bring it all the way down, 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 and pause. So in line with the rotation that we just did, I want you to come onto your side. And we're going to stack the knees and the feet, arm out to the side, other arm on top. Either resting your head, if you need a little block underneath your head, please put it there, a cushion, a towel, something. And I'm going to push that top hip away from me throughout. Now, a little bit of book openings. Get that underside shoulder under you, especially if you have a wider shoulder. And then slowly from there, we're going to start to bring that arm all the way across, 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 across. Eyes are looking straight up. Make sure your neck is nice and straight. Open that chest and bring it all the way back again. Now note how my knees, this time I'm just going to open out to the side. Note how the knees are pretty much staying stacked on top of each other. and all the way back. So you can either slide the hand along, go for the elbow placement first and then unravel that arm, it's up to you. Or you can just do this with a straight arm coming up and over like so. And then we can play about with this. So slowly from there, all the way back. This time we could bring that arm up and over. All the way round, round to the T. And then you can bring it all the way back up and over again. And again, it can come up and over. Keep pushing that top hip away from you. Really feel that big, big stretch. And all the way up and over. Last one. 3 of these if you can. Feel that middle back rotation opening through your chest. And all the way up and over. And all the way back down. Slowly I'm going to push myself all the way up. And we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So stack the feet, stack the knees. Make sure, especially if you've got a wider shoulder, that you really tuck that elbow underneath. We stack the hands on top of each other and either rest your head onto a cushion, a towel. If you're quite happy for your head to be down, then so be it. Push that top seat bone away from you all the time. So I'm going to begin nice and simply. Remember, one side may be tighter than the other. Dragging that top hand across the breastbone. Feel that the elbow is trying to find the floor and out to that T position. Now, if you note, I'm trying to keep my knees down and pretty stacked on top of each other, all the way back to start position. It's not about can I get my hand absolutely to the floor in this T position at the loss of the form through the lower part of the body. So I could easily roll this hip over and I'd get my arm to the floor. That's not where we're trying to aim for. We're really trying to get stability from the waist down. And remember, you don't have to drag that hand if you don't want to along the arm. You can just take it up and over. Make sure that your eyes look straight up towards the ceiling. There's extreme length in your spine from the crown of the head to the tip of the tail. And all the way back, back. Now remember, we can make this a little bit more challenging by bringing the arm up. I flip the palm around so the palm faces up and open, a much deeper stretch through the front of the chest. All the way up and over and all the way back down. Try as best you can to stack those knees, pushing that top knee absolutely on top of the underside and your top seat bone away from you, all the way back up and over. So remember this top seat bone pushing away. Last one, the palm faces up, coming all the way around, and then very slowly bringing it all the way back, and pause. So slowly from there we're just going to come onto our backs. So I want you to now think about the bridge position. So we're going to have our feet that little bit closer towards our bottom. The arms are down by our side, chest has been opened up nicely. Wide full inhale into the back and the base of the lungs. Feel an evenness left to right on your feet. And we're not going to articulate at all, I just simply want you to lift straight up. And I want you to lower straight back down. And again, lift your pelvis straight up, imagining that your thigh bones could reach forwards of your knees. Squeeze an imaginary ball between your knees and come straight back down again. So if all is well, we're going to hold it up here and just think about a new cue that might just help you to open through the hip a little bit more. So I want you to think right now that your seat bones, they are rather like little dipped headlights. And I now want you to switch the full beam on. So your seat bones then flip up to the full beam. Now you should feel that much more in the bottom and opening the hip. So I heard that as a cue earlier in the week and really like it, really think it works. Now take the arms all the way back behind you, and this time we'll articulate all the way down through the spine. Arms can come all the way back down. Try a little articulation, drawing your hip bones backwards, lifting all the way up. Pause, taking your arms all the way back. Now remember, let's flip these seat bones into the full beam position before we then lay the bones all the way back down, 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 and bring it back down. We've been doing 3s of everything, so let's just do one more. Draw your hip bones lightly backwards. Start to peel, 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 peel. Inhale as you take those arms back. Now remember, flip your seat bones from the low beam to the full beam, so you really feel that bottom working. And now lay the bones all the way back down. Back to neutral, arms back down by your side. Now we're going to do a little bit of lateral translation of the spine. So the arms will stay by your sides. We're going to come straight up and pause. Now I want you to imagine that you have your pelvis resting on a skateboard or an old-fashioned typewriter. Remember the bar that you type, 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 and you swing the bar across. So either a skateboard or a typewriter bar. So from here, keeping your pelvis absolutely level, keeping the same pressure on both big toes, I'm going to slide my pelvis and my hips across to the left, staying that height. On my skateboard, I'm sliding across to the right. And then I'm going to bring it back through center and come down 1 inch. Slide across to the left, slide across to the right, come back to center and down 1 inch. Slide on your skateboard, keeping your pelvis nice and level, across to the left, across to the right. Back through center and bringing it back down 1 inch. Maybe we can fit a couple more in here. Slide and slide. Back through center and down. Last one. Slide and all the way across. Feel that imaginary skateboard. Back through center and all the way back down. So a little bit of single side now, drawing both hip bones back a little and come all the way back up to that full bridge position. Remember those little lights that are your seat bones. They're in a low beam at the moment, and I want you to flip the seat bones up to the full beam. Focusing now on our left side being our stabilizing side, almost a little internal rotation of that left leg, and we pick up the right to pause. Now relax something with a long neck, collarbones are open, and all I want you to do from here is come straight down. Now be careful of the ribs, and we come straight up. Now remember to flip that beam up and push that left thigh bone forwards of your knee. We go low and lift up. Coming down to lift up. Now, could you relax something, be it opening your collarbones, your eyelids, something softens as you lower and you lift. We lower and we lift. We'll just do one more, lower and lift, pause. Now, carefully place that foot back down. Make sure your pelvis feels nice and level. Flip perhaps what might be a low beam back up to a full beam with those seat bones, almost an invisible internal rotation on your right thigh bone as you lift your left leg up to 90-90. So we'll lower down. Now remember the big weighted leg vest on your ribs as you bring it back up. So lower and lift. Now the whole time I'm visualizing that my right thigh bone can reach forwards of my right knee. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Relax the collarbones, piece of fruit between chin and chest. Lowering and lifting. Lowering and lifting. We'll just do one more. Lower and lift. Now slowly from there, place that foot down, taking your arms all the way back. Just articulate the spine all the way down, down, down. And I want you to find a neutral spine. Bring your arms to T position. Feet are about the width of a small football, and we're going to go straight into a little supine spine twist. Can you think about the length
between your tail and your skull, the center of your skull. So you're really lengthening your spine. So this is your modified version. A more progressive version would be to lift one leg, lift the other, glue those legs together, glue the knees together. Imagine that you've been wrapped in cling from heel to hip. And slowly from there, keeping those knees absolutely level, we come across. Now remember, we're not massaging back through center, not massaging your waistband, you're massaging your sacral region. Imagine a line that goes from the outside edge of your hip through the center of your sacrum and across to the other side of your hip. Now we can add little progressions to this. So we can come over to the side, we can reach both legs beautifully long all the way back to center. Make sure that your feet are even, you haven't flattened your back, and back to bent knee. Across to the side, knees are even, reaching those legs super long. Do not forget to breathe and back. So an ideal breathing pattern might be an inhale to the side, an exhale to reach, an inhale to center, and an exhale back. One more. Inhale to the side, an exhale to reach. Watch that opposite shoulder. All the way back and back to bent knee. And you can just hug your knees in, circle those thigh bones if it feels good to you. A couple one way and a couple going the other way. So just really enjoying that lovely, lovely stretch. Now from there, we're going to do a little bit of leg circling. So I'm going to bring it back up. Any sort of linking move that works for you. Lift your head, neck and chest up, all the way back up in as many little rocks as it takes. So again, I'm going to do some progressions here. It's entirely up to you if you want to take it to a different level, a slightly higher level. If you had a flex band and you want to keep it at a lower level, maybe just have that flex band by your side. And as I'm talking about the progressions, you might just stretch out your hamstring using the flex band or a belt or a towel, as we've demonstrated in previous videos. So from here, you're just going to sit. You're going to slowly draw yourself all the way down, 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 and pause. So I want you just to think from here about reaching one leg beautifully long and lengthened. We're going to pick the other leg up to bent knee position and hold. Now I'm going to reach that leg up towards the ceiling. Now it's up to you if you feel that this is too challenging. Maybe you'll keep it here, maybe you keep it here, but we're going to try and have a little hamstring stretch here. So I'm taking the hands that little bit higher, dropping the toes down and reaching the heel up. And then I'm going to bring that leg to absolutely vertical if I can. My arms will go out to a T position. You don't need to flex the ankle. Bent knee, remember, is absolutely fine. We're coming across the midline, circling around, all the way up and pause. Across the midline, circling around, all the way up and pause. I'm doing 4 of these around, all the way up. Now that opposite leg, that left leg for me is really, really still. We're going to do 4 going the other way. Very, very stable across your pelvis. And if you don't believe yourself, you can lift your head up and just look at those hips, making sure that they're not rocking and rolling. Totally lost count. Remember, I can never speak and count. And we're going to pause there. Now, a little bit of progression here. We're going to do upper tree. So I'm going to lift the head, neck and chest, lower the leg a little, slowly start to walk up and up and up and up, and lift your heart. Now you could do this modified like so, drawing the hip bones all the way back down, taking a little stretch here, then bringing it back to bent knee. I lift the head, neck and chest, push the thigh bone away from me, all the way back up. And again, you could just stretch up here. So that's your modification. If you can, you're going to keep that leg straight. Think about lengthening your tail as you come all the way back down taking that little bit of length through the whole spine. Lift the head, neck and chest, walk the hands up and up and up and up. Now, if you can, the Brucey bonus, you're going to take your right hand to the inside edge of your right leg, assuming you are doing the same side as me. My other arm is going to come out to the side, lift your heart, and I'm going to just carefully lay the bones all the way down, 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 and I'm going to take that leg out to the side, which gives me a lovely inner thigh stretch. I bring it all the way back. Each of my hands come back onto my leg, lift the head, neck and chest, take the leg a little away, all the way up and up and up, and lift your heart. So really feel that lovely stretch. Then you're going to push that leg away. That leg should be feeling much more stretched than the other one as we come all the way down to do the other side. So we begin with a little hamstring stretch. So you're going to take your hands a little higher if you can. Keep the length between your hip and your armpit. So be careful that you're not hiking. If you need a little block under your head because you see that your chin is pushing up like this, then please take a little towel or something behind your head. Careful of rounding shoulders. Try and keep those collarbones nice and wide. So pushing my heel up and dropping my toes down. Breathing all the time. All the way back. Now, remember, modification to the bent knee is absolutely fine, or maintain the straight leg. Arms out to the side. Coming across the midline, reaching it away with flow. We do 4 in one direction. Try not to let your opposite hip rock and roll. Little bit of external rotation if it feels more comfortable in the hip, and then we go the other way. Full range of movement if you can. Long neck, you can look at your pelvis if you need to. Round, 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 and one more, round, 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 and pause. Now slowly from there, remember our little modification here was to bend the knee, lift the head all the way back up, back up, back up. And again, you could bring yourself back down this way. We're going to see if we can get this leg a little straighter. You don't have to hold the foot, you can be here, but I want you to imagine you're going into an extension of your back, shortening your middle upper back. Now we're going to walk down that leg if you can, all the way down, 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 down. You can take a stretch here as well. Make it your own. If it feels good, then play about with it. Lift your head, neck and chest. Are you still breathing? I don't mind how you breathe as long as you breathe. Lift that heart. We'll do one more, bringing it down and down and down and down. And really open those collarbones. Lift your head, neck and chest. Take the leg a little further away because it makes it a little easier. Send the tail away from you all the way back up and lift your heart. Now the Brucey bonus is to take your left hand, because I'm doing my left leg onto the inside of my arch. My right hand will come to the outside edge of the mat. And it is quite challenging here to articulate, but the best you can, come all the way down. I'm going to take that leg out to the side. That is a mega inner thigh stretch. Then coming all the way back, taking your hands to the back of the leg, lifting your head, neck and chest, and we come up and up and up and up and lift that heart one last time. Little bend, and we're going to come onto our sides to do some clams. So we'll do some bottom now that the legs have had a nice stretch. Up to you how you come into this. You might choose to stay on your elbow. You might choose to have your hand outstretched above your head, your arm like so. Now I know some of you find this really challenging, so maybe you would come to an outstretched arm perpendicular to the mat. You can put a block, towels, whatever feels good to you, entirely up to you. Or remember, there's always the elbow as an option. So I'm stacking the knees, I'm stacking the feet, and I'm pushing my top hip away from me all the time. If it helps you, put your hand onto the top hip and push it away from you. And I'm simply going to open and squeeze close. Now remember the position of your head. I want you to imagine that it's touching a brick wall behind you. We open and we close. So you're working through the thickest of treacle. We open, 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 and we close. We open, 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 and close. Remember the length in that spine all the time. Now we're going to play about with it. I'm going to lift the leg, squeeze it down. Lift it, squeeze it down. Note how my foot is not actually touching the underside leg at all, or underside foot. Lift and lower, and lift and lower. We'll do one more and lower. Now I'm going to go into almost an internal rotation. Lift and lower. So I've lifted my heel higher than my knee on this side. And we lift and we lower. And we lift and we lower. We'll do two more and lower. And last one and lower. Bring it back as we were. You're going to lift up. You're going to reach the leg out and bend and bring it down. Lift, reach, bend and down. Lift and reach and bend and down. And lift and reach and bend and down. Two more, reach and bend and down. And last one, reach and bend and down. Now, internal rotation. Lift, reach, bend. Remember, my foot is higher than my knee. Bend and down. So lift in internal rotation, reach out in internal rotation, back and down. So internal rotation of your thigh bone throughout. You should start to feel this in your bottom. And reach and bend and lower and lift and reach and bend. Lower and lift and last one and in and lower and pause for a second. Now I want you to reach that leg all the way out and we're going to bring it forwards and bring it back. Forwards, 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 back, back, back. Now if your neck is bothering you at all, please come down. Hand could be in front of you. For stability, if you wish, you could point back, kick it forwards, point back, kick it forwards, point back, upper body stable, point back, kick it forwards. Hold it here, lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift. We'll do 4, up, 3, up, 2, up, and 1 and up. All the way back. Just very briefly come onto your back. You're going to do a little stretch, lift up. If you can, if you would prefer, you can keep that leg down. And we're just going to stretch out for a moment, maybe holding the foot, taking your hand onto your knee. You can roll away from the direction of your stretch. So if you have right leg over left, you're rolling a little to your left. If that doesn't make it more intense for you, you stay where you feel that intense little piriformis stretch. And most importantly, do not flatten out your back. Keep yourself in a neutral spine. Coming back in, maybe just think a couple of little thigh bone circles for a second. And we're going to bring it all the way back up, and we're not done yet on this side. So slowly from here, we're back onto our elbow, and that is the case for everybody. A little bit of side lift. So I'm imagining a sling under my waist, and I'm simply going to lift up and lower back down. Lifting up and lowering back down. So that is our most basic version. Lifting, long, long neck, stable underside shoulder, elbow underneath the shoulder. Lifting and lowering. So now we can make it a little more challenging. And we're going to lift, and you can lift the leg up if you wish, and lower. And lift, and lower. And we'll do 2 more. Lift, and lower. Last one. Lift, 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 and lower. You can do that one with your foot down all the time if you would prefer. Just like so. But remember, the lift is coming from your waist. Last one is to take that top leg, and I'm just nestling my heel where my ankle forms into my foot. I'm pulling this thigh bone back a little, okay, and I'm going to come up onto my hand. So outstretched fingers, not going to do a lot of these, We're really thinking about this knee being drawn back, but the pelvis being drawn forwards. Lift your heart. And whenever you're ready, you're going to stretch those legs out, lifting, 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 and bend your knees to bring it back. Now the energy is going through the crown of your head and all the way back down. So really think, yes, a lift of the waist, but think energy through crown of the head, stability through that underside shoulder. We'll do a couple more. I'm straightening the legs, lifting my waist, and all the way back. Last one, up and up and up, and all the way back down. Now we can Z-sit if that feels okay to you. Come all the way up and over, a nice little bit of lateral flexion. I'm going to pull that wrist, feeling a lovely stretch, eyes looking down, shoulders relaxed, all the way back up and all the way back down. Spinning it around to do our clam on this side. So, knee stacked, feet stacked. Remember, elbow in alignment with your shoulder, or you can be down like this, or you can be here. Give you a little bit of time just to reposition yourself to taste. So things to be thinking about. Try to keep knees, look at them. If you were to run a piece of paper down, would those knees always touch? Would they always be in good alignment? Try not to let your head drop forwards. Try not to let your hips rock forwards. So whenever you're ready, we're going to open and close. And I'm always thinking that I am working in thick treacle with my legs. Like I'm pulling them away from each other and squeezing them back in. Pulling and squeezing. Are you breathing? Bottom ribs in, neck super long. We'll just do a couple more at this basic version. If you're wanting to keep it at basic, you might even tie a band around your thighs to make it more challenging for you. We'll do one more and pause. Now we lift and lower, and lift and lower. Now notice that that top foot is not touching the bottom one. Remember also, if you get tired in the neck, very acceptable to bring it down like so, pushing your top seat bone away from you. I really don't mind. It's really important that your neck is comfortable. And we'll do a couple more. Pull through the thick treacle, push through the thick treacle. Pull it and push it. Now from there, I'm going to move into an internal rotation, lifting and lowering. So it's quite subtle. Just imagine this thigh bone has internally rotated. And lift and a lower. And lift and a lower. Lift and a lower and a lift and a lower. We'll do 2 and down and 1 and down. Take a little moment. We're going to add to this. So we're going to lift up. We're going to reach out. Back to bent knee and lower. Think about the form through the upper body, back to bent knee and lower. We lift and a reach and bend and lower. Lift and a reach and bend and lower. Keep your top seat bone reaching away all the time. Top waist stays very, very long. We'll do one more. Reach all the way back and lower. Now we move into the internal rotation, so you can actively see your foot comes higher than your knee as we lift and a reach. So I'm internally rotated without bringing the hip with me. Back in and lower. Lift and a reach and back in and lower. Remember the arm position. If you're uncomfortable at all, please modify. If you don't want to do all these reps, you don't need to do all the reps with me. Trust me, my bottom is burning as well. Bend and lower. Lift and internally rotate and bend and lower. We'll do 2 more and reach and bend and lower and lift and reach and bend and lower. So we'll take a little bit of a stretch through that performance, a very, very valuable stretch. But remember, do not flatten out your back. Like we just worked, figure 4, this might be enough for you. You might even just have your arms out to the side. You might even just roll a little across to the side. But if you can, lifting up, back doesn't flatten. Almost imagining I'm trying to take my sacrum over a little precipice. You might hold the hand, elbow, whatever works for you. We are all different arm lengths, leg lengths, so please just make it work for you. And to intensify this, and it doesn't always work for everybody, but if it does work for you, if I'm stretching the left, I roll a little to my right, still pushing that tail, that sacrum over a little precipice. Lovely long neck throughout. Breathing wide and full all the way back. And you can do a couple of these. Sometimes it's nice to move in our stretches. And just pause. And then just bringing it in. Again, we're going to circle a couple of times one way. It's nice to just let muscles loosen off before we ask them to work again. Any kind of linking move that works for you. Coming back onto that elbow again. Maybe you weren't on the elbow in the first instance, so if you weren't, elbow directly over shoulder. Eyes are up all the time, beginning with a little side lift. Now I'm imagining a sling under my waist, lifting me up and bringing me back down. Lift and bring it down. Remember this? You can stay here, stay at this level if this is working for you. One more lift and bring it down. Slightly more progressive, leg comes out to the side and we can lift and bringing it down. And lift, 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 lift. It is about your waist and stability of the shoulder. Are you breathing? And bringing it down. Now remember, we can lift the leg and bringing it down. Lifting the leg up. We've got a little bit of stability work going on that underside here, but make it come from your waist. And we'll just do one more, lifting, 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 and all the way back down. So a little side plank, if you feel it's appropriate for you. So my leg was in a nice bent knee position anyway. Be careful it doesn't come too close in. And I've tucked that top heel into where my ankle forms into the foot. Try and keep this top knee drawn back, but my pelvis is forward. So watch you don't see yourself sort of presenting the pelvis up to the ceiling. Very definitely hip bones trying to point forwards. Spread the weight through 5 fingers. I am stabilizing my shoulder, so don't let that shoulder lift up to the ear. Inhale wide and full. I push into the top foot, a little bit of weight goes forwards, but the majority through the crown of the head as you straighten and lift up. Bending the knees simply to bring it back down. And again, straighten, 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 and bring it all the way back down. And again, straighten, 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 and all the way back down. And again, straighten those legs up and all the way back down. Let's just do one more. Lifting, 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 and all the way back down. Take a little moment. We're going to face the front again and do a little bit of rolling like a ball, just to massage the back, bring everything back into a nice symmetrical method of working. So just beginning with your feet flat, and I would have my hands onto my shins and I'm going to draw my hip bones a little backwards and pause. So just feel that we're back to almost where we were at the very beginning of the class. Now from there, remember the belly button, bottom ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs, breastbone have all been drawn back. I'm going to bring each of my feet back one at a time, keeping those toes down and pause. Now open the collarbones, little weights on your elbows, no tension. So I'd almost like to shout out all the people that I can think in my head that are going to be up here and tense. I want you to relax those shoulders. Now from here, glue the legs a little more together. Deepen the flexion if you can. Send the tail a little more away from you. Eyes focusing on something in between your legs. Maybe it is a seam on your trousers or a little mark or a pattern on your leggings. And on the next exhale, with the abdominal wall drawn in, never pushing out, we lift those shins up. So you can keep those hands on the shins if you wish, slightly easier, which helps to lift the legs up, and especially if you've got a lumbar curve, this is much easier for you. But I'm going to go today with the hands on the shins, keeping those eyes in place. Inhale and exhale. And again, an inhale and an exhale. Now please relax something. Remember, they're a little bit like making pancakes. You do a few, they're not very good at the beginning, but then you just register. I got the tail in a good position there. My chin wasn't overly clamped to the chest. I really focused on my breathing on that one. I really felt the length in my spine. I felt the engagement in my abdominals. So everyone just trying that little bit harder every time to get it almost perfect. And all the way back to pause. Now I'm going to keep it here. You might be done, take a little break. But if you can, I'm going to take the hands underneath one leg and lift that leg up. Bring it all the way back down. I'm still balancing, lift my heart up and bring it back down. Now hold under both. Maybe you just stay in this position. I've taken the thigh bones a little apart, but if you can, we're going to lift up into that teaser position, holding and breathing. Maybe you need a little break there. Maybe you need to take your feet down. Maybe you need to stretch your back. If you can, we're going to try a little progression here. Take a break if you don't need the progressions. I'm going to lift my heart and lift all the way up with these legs. Now draw length through the low back, coming back, and then lift, 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 lift your heart. We'll try 3, we've been doing 3s. Again, they don't always work the way you planned. And again, up with the tail, and then lift your heart. Lifting the heart, lift, 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 lift. Bring those legs together, bring it down, and take a little stretch. So from here we're going to do some prone. We're going to come down onto our tummies, working in some extension. We've just done a lot of flexion. However you like, bring yourself to the front. I'm going to cross my legs over, and that's me facing forwards. So we're going to come all the way down, like so, and just pause for a moment. Lengthen your thigh bones away from you. Breathe into the back and the base of your lungs. And from there, we're going to do really, really simple little dart to begin with. So bring your hands down by your sides. My first fingers are touching the mat. My nose is just skimming and no more. Now that is determined by a lot of factors. It depends on bust size, neck length. So please just be comfortable here. And I want you to think again about your sacrum reaching long and lengthened. Your pubic bone is just gently weighted. Your hip bones just subtly lifted. Obviously they're still touching the floor. And your lower abdominals are very definitely drawn in. Please don't let them sort of fall down with gravity. Almost lifting them away from the mat. And then from there, I want you to open your collarbones out to the side, elevating the first fingers off the floor. Lift the head, neck and chest now so that it is level with the rest of your spine. And this is maybe where you stay, but if you can, that upper arm bone is going to spin around so you look like the original anatomy poster man. And I just want you to feel that length in your spine. I want you to feel the strength in your middle upper back. If you're feeling it too much in the low back, don't lift so high. Think more about length, holding and breathing. So this may be where you stay. This might be enough for you, bringing it all the way back down again. But if you can, we're going to bring it so that the hands are either side of our mat. We do a little bit of the swan. So the same concept. The pubic bone is heavy, hip bones are light. The bottom ribs ever so slightly drawn in as you elevate the head, neck and chest up a little. Keep those collarbones beautifully open. I'm going to push a little into the palm. Make sure that the hands feel that they are supportive, that you can really stabilize your shoulders. So I'm not just lifting my chin up and leading with the chin. I'm trying to shorten my middle upper back, pulling the bottom ribs gently in, sending my sacrum away from me, lifting up and up and up. Bend the elbows to bring it all the way back down. First feeling the bottom ribs, then the breastbone, and then your head. And again, try and make it flow. Head comes up. Feel the weight evenly left to right on the palms. I come up a little way, pause, and then allowing yourself to pull those bottom ribs in, bringing it all the way back up, and pause. Now I want you to look to the left. Bring it back through center. Look to the right. All the way back. Bend the elbows and let it come all the way back down. Now that might be enough for you, but if you can, we progress it a little. Head comes up. Slowly we shorten the middle upper back, pull the bottom ribs gently in, send your sacrum away from you, look to the right. Now allow yourself to drop the eyes down, coming all the way back, around and to the left. Keep the shortening of the middle upper back, eyes drop down, around, and look to the right. All the way back through center, bend the elbows, and let it come all the way back down. We'll just do one more like that. So inhale. As you exhale, elevate, keep the flow if you can, bringing it up and up and up and up, and pause, look to your left. Drop the eyes all the way down, feel that lovely stretch in the neck, and back up to the right. Then drop your eyes all the way down, and all the way back up and around, and pause. Bringing it back through center, allow the elbows to bend all the way back down. And we'll bring ourselves out of extension by taking a little stretch. Make sure I'm centered on the mat. Whatever feels good to you. Maybe arms in front, maybe arms down by the side. Be careful of knee issues. It might be a cat stretch that's good for you. I always like a little bit of taking my hands across to one side, the opposite seat bone. Now maybe in that position, anchoring the opposite seat bone, you could keep walking your hands to the side, really feeling that stretch intensify. All the way back through center. Begin by the edge of your mat. Lift the opposite seat bone up and over that heel. So for me, the hands have come to the left. The right seat bone has come over the outside of your right heel, holding it here. But maybe I could continuously walk those hands around without bringing them closer to me. I'm just taking them across to the side, keeping that opposite seat bone where it is. And then very slowly all the way back through center, and release back, low back, middle back, upper back, and eyes. So slowly from here, we're going to do a little bit of rotation. Now it's entirely up to you if perhaps you'd like to sit on your little stool or not. If not, just sit in a position that is comfortable to you, which might be like so. It might be sitting out in the classical version, but I am just going to get my box and I'm just going to sit on the box. So I'm going to begin just sitting like so. So it makes life an awful lot easier to sit on something. So look at the position of your back. Sitting super tall, bottom ribs in, perhaps a little towel or a block in between your knees. This is how you're going to prepare. Now, taking your arms out to the side, I want you to imagine there is a broom handle directly behind both of your elbows. And we're going to rotate to one side, keeping absolutely stable from the waist down, back through center. Now it's not a big movement this, to the side and back through center. Again, to the side and back through center. To the side and back through center. So I can do one sitting here, to the side. Now remember that broom handle and back through center.
So you might be sitting on the floor. I want you to be driving your seat bones downwards. Perhaps the breathing can help. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. And inhale, inhale, inhale. Bringing it down, take a little stretch just for a moment and lift into a little extension. Now from here, we're going to add a little bit to this by using our arms out in front of us. So we're beginning with one elbow back, other fingers come forwards. Arm out to the side, both thumbs are up. Pull the shoulder blades a little apart, but watch your opposite knee, or the knee on the side that you're rotating towards isn't pulling backwards. And then we're going to rotate, 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 and bring it all the way back to center. So I'm going to do one of these facing in this direction, just so you can see all the different angles. So slowly from there, palms face down, elbow draws back, other fingertips push forwards, arm comes back, thumbs come up. So as I begin to pull the shoulder blades apart and I rotate, and be careful that this thigh bone doesn't push backwards. Keep it reaching forwards, all the way back. Now we'll get the flow. Elbow, fingertips, arm, thumbs, middle back rotation. You can use your eyes if you wish, all the way back and pause. Palms face down. Last one, elbow, fingertips, arm. Pull those shoulder blades apart. Thumbs are up and looking towards that back hand, all the way back down, and a little stretch to finish. So lovely, lovely middle back rotation. If you're sitting on something, we stand up. Do not use your hands on your thighs. And we're going to use this box or chair or whatever you have in front of you for a little stretch at the end. So I'm going to stand in front of my, better if it's low. If you have a chair, not quite so challenging, but if you can go about 30 centimetres or so, that is a little bit more challenging. So we're going to hinge at the hip with both hands onto our box, which I shall call this, or our stool or low chair. And I want you to now take your left arm out to the side and your right leg out to the side. And hold. Push your seat bones away from you. Bring them down. We do the same on the other side. Arm out to the side, maybe a little external rotation of the legs so you get it a little higher, and all the way back down. And we're going to repeat. So push your breastbone forwards. We're almost extending the back. So we go left arm, right leg, and now they both come back behind us. So a little bit of balance challenge here as well. So I'm going to come up onto my fingertips, and I'm going to shorten my middle upper back to try to help me to keep the upper body as it is. Now from there I'm going to start to pulse the back leg. This is where it becomes a bit of a balance challenge. Could you come to the middle finger only? Use that middle upper back all the time. Then could you come off the palm whilst you pulse the leg? Pulse, pulse, 2 and 1. Bring your hand back down. Bend the knee. Hold the foot if you can. If you can't, then just sit and have a little break for a moment. Then I'm going to lift the knee up. I'm going to pull the knee up and back, and you should feel a lovely stretch through your inner thigh, through your low back, and pushing the foot a little into my hand. And then taking arm and leg out to the side, and all the way back down. Last side, nearly done. Now to the side and pause. Both arm and leg come back onto the fingertips if you can. Shorten that middle upper back to help you to keep your body as horizontal as possible. Don't just use your neck and head. Middle finger if you can, and we pulse the leg. Pulsing the leg, low abdominals are on. If you can, you hover that hand. So hover the hand, not so good on this side, hovering the hand, pulse, 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 and pulse. We'll do 3 and 2 and 1 and hold. Bring the hand back down, Bend the knee, holding the toes. Now I'm taking my bend into my elbow, that's on the support side. Head comes down a little, pulling that knee back and up, feeling a lovely stretch in my standing leg. Breathe. And then leg and arm out to the side and bringing it all the way back. Slowly from there, rounding, restacking, low back, upper back and eyes. Lifting it up, taking it around, all the way up and all the way around, all the way back and down. Lift, push the palms away, open, 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 open. Circle a couple of times the shoulders backwards. And that is us. Thank you so, so much. Keep your comments coming, keep doing the videos. If you don't have the motivation to do it, put your gym kit on, lay out your mat, force yourself to do it, send me an email, say that you've done it, and I'll be back with another video really shortly. Thank you so much. Take care.